Okay, while I'm eating, let's watch this video, because I haven't kept up with it in the last few days. The Palworld AI controversy is getting out of hand by Thief. Let's see what he has to say about this, or what he brings up.
The Palworld drama has gotten a little bit out of control, and it's expected. The game has been a huge success. It's sold gangbusters on Steam. It is one of the top played games. It has been the most played game on Steam.
With 2 million by now. Over 2 million concurrent players. I think he will talk about the... I saw something brief about death threats. So, I will know that is happening, but maybe there's more.
And we don't even have statistics on things like Game Pass or gamers on Xbox. So like anything that gets big and massively successful, it's gonna have haters. It's gonna have people that don't like it and that for some reason have an interest in seeing it fail. And we've seen that
I didn't even think about this. When I was an edgy teenager, I also was on the side of popular thing bad. That's how I felt about a lot of things. But now I enjoy the popular thing. I'm on the other side. It's to be honest, it's much nicer. But here, but it's right. I didn't even think about that because a lot of people will just hate it for whatever reason they can grab. Like every little bit they can cling on to hate the game, they will, just because popular thing equals bad. Oh, you play Palworld, I play Nexocoxomon, the indie game made by a 13-year-old heroin addict in some weird cave. That's a real Pokemon game.
With the amount of people who have showed up to say that the game is plagiarizing Pokemon, that the game is generated by
wow,
AI,
they both have ears. Crazy.
That we're putting money directly into the pockets of
what did it say? Oh, that was
AI. That this is a
don't believe the lies that Palworld is using AI generated art. Liars are claiming the Palworld used AI art based on a post made by the CEO. The problem is he was talking about BuzzFeed using AI to create fake mon, not Pocket Pair staff. I mean, he's right about AI. Will probably... No, it will not probably... It will bring a lot of things out faster. It will improve a lot of stuff. Especially like the timing of everything. It will make work process way faster.
Bad company, and that we're putting money directly into the pockets of AI grifters.
And also some talentless guy like me can make something to move that.
Fascinating when contrasted with the ideas of fake games, as I made a video on recently, where I have to clarify.
But on top of it, I have to say, I completely agree with stolen art to train AI is a no-go. If an artist sells their stuff to train an AI, that's totally fine. But they stealing it or using it without consent, that's an absolute no-go. As much as I think AI is great and will probably be very useful in the future, you can't just steal their stuff. That's not okay.
Every single time that buying assets is not bad within itself. It's buying them and doing nothing to them. Just buying them and throwing them in a game. Specifically, when you're talking about things like the actual gameplay systems, which are things that you can buy. But the situation with Palworld is an example of the opposite. It's the example of a game that even if it uses pre-bought assets, even if it has a certain aesthetic, even if it is reminiscent of a lot of previous games and a clear example of iterative game design, it is a good product that is trying to be torn down on the basis of lies. And since the internet is now a home for misinformation, and I keep seeing people talk about things in my comments that are simply not true, I want to address it, and I want to give you all a very hard truth. That's not fun. This is not a necessarily very fun video, but I think it's important. So gonna make it. And if you're new here, hi, I'm Mugthief.
Hi.
I make
First time
videos on
I
the
watched this
internet
video.
about things I care about, and this is a thing I care about. So, hi, welcome. Hope you enjoy. In case you're completely uninformed, it's what I said. They're accusing Pocket Pair, which is the developer of Palworld, of plagiarism and using generative AI for their designs and for their game in general. And a lot of this comes from the fact that the developer has previously put out a party game that uses generative AI, which to me is the clearest reason why Palworld doesn't use it. So
Also, they would have to disclose it. There's a new rule on Steam that if you use AI, you have to disclose it on the Steam page. You cannot just sell a game that uses or heavily uses AI and not, label it as such. And I would assume after 5 million copies sold in 5 days, Steam will have a good look on that game. So if that would be true, I mean, maybe it's true. I don't care. But they don't bring any evidence, and Steam is not saying anything so far. So right now we can assume it's a legit game.
let's get some facts straight away. There is absolutely no evidence that Palworld uses AI. None. If there ever is evidence, I will talk about it. I will criticize it. I will have a take on it. Secondly, by the way, I have no skin in this game. I do not care if Palworld succeeds or doesn't, especially because I'm never going to influence that. The game is already a success.
Yep.
I have nothing to do with the developer. I requested early access for coverage and was denied. So if you think that I'm doing this because of some allegiance to the developer, you're sorely mistaken. If anything, I would have a reason to be like, well, I didn't get early access. I'm late to this train, so I'm not even going to talk about it. I played Palworld because a couple of friends of mine were very excited about it, and they got me excited, and I decided to jump into it, and I was very, very positively surprised to the point that I made a video talking about why I think the game is brilliantly designed. And you can go ahead and watch that video if you don't believe me. With those two things out of the way, the amount of stupid stuff I've had to read online, things like how Palworld is just a Unity asset flip, it's on Unreal Engine 5, by the way. Doesn't mean that you can't asset flip on Unreal, but they can't even get that right. How?
Some things, yes, like the mining or the swinging animation is exactly the same as Fortnite. it's the exact same animation. The wide swing, left, right, left, right. The only thing that is missing is like these little dots on the stone and trees that is like a weak spot. But I mean, you can look at the game and you see it's not really... A friend of mine said this to me. It doesn't really have that... how do you say it in English? The coherent art style. Because you have like this hyper-realistic stuff, very stylized creatures. It clashes a little bit. A mix of like realism and very anime or like cartoon creatures. So you can probably assume that a lot of the stones and stuff like that is assets, which I don't see that as a problem. The only thing I care about is if a game is fun. And if a game is fun, I don't care if it's 50% store assets, 70% or 100%. As long as the game is fun, that's all that matters to me. I'm also a gameplay first guy. I don't care about the story. If the graphic is nice, hey, that's great. But for the most part, I want gameplay, and the gameplay of Palworld is fun. The systems of Palworld are fun when they work. Keiner denkt an die Künstler. Denk doch an die Künstler, an die Artist. Which ones? If the people who put these things on the asset store, they get paid for that. If you can sell there are a lot of artists who can sell their assets on the Unreal or the Unity store. And they get money for that. That's how that works. You don't just... There's... I know it can happen, because there's always assholes. But the assets on these stores is not stolen art. People willingly upload them either for free, to be in the credits or something, or, you know, make money on that store. How do I know? I made games in Unity before. I know how that stupid store works. So as long as they don't steal the assets, everything is fair game.
All of the designs of the pals are plagiarizing or are generated through AI by misinterpreting tweets that have been now translated.
Okay, sorry, but I have to stop again. But if they can make with an AI creatures that look that good, or have that really that Pokemon vibe to it, that's a pretty nice AI, I would say. Because people people were mad because of AI, and we all know if we would not commission an artist in the first place and use AI, then this artist will get broke. I don't agree with that. No artist has a right to my money. And if I can find a way to, you know, get around or get something cheaper and get the same results or an equal result, I will use that. I did the same thing when I started VTubing. Instead of, you know, buying a lot of expensive backgrounds and overlays and all that stuff, I used AI. I used some random shit I did on Canva. Because why would I pay someone so much money for something that is... well, you don't know if it's even getting that amount back. Yeah, that's the same. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, if I don't use AI, who says I will commission you? That's right. But also, I had that before. I agree with AI that is trained on people and stolen art is wrong. I fully 100% agree with that. AI that is using stolen art is bad. But all the AI that doesn't, fair game. And yeah, some jobs will get obsolete. That is simply how it always has been and always will be. And if there's an AI that can make art just as good as some artist, well, it's time to get a new job. I don't agree if it's nah, it's not really Pokemon. It's more like Pokemon in a survival game. There's some similarities. It plays more like this Arceus, I have no... the other open world, kinda open world Pokemon game. But yeah, Nintendo and Game Freak have been lazy. Not on the design. I mean, they already have like 1,000 designs, but the gameplay is just bad. Unreal Pokemon designs. But then again, that is again stolen art. You can't just use copyrighted material to train your AI. Again, if they did that, that's bad. And that is not okay. Okay, I'm already like twice as long as the video. I'm only 4 minutes in.
To clarify, to just no knowledge about the developer or what they do. Mizobe, which I hope I'm pronouncing correctly, is the CEO of Pocket Pair, and he did an interview where I was absolutely in love with so many of the things he said from the perspective of enjoying a Japanese indie developer talking so transparently about influences in a way that gives me hope for the games industry. because this is a person that loves games. He cites pretty much every popular and successful survival crafter, and then some that aren't successful, that he enjoys and that he was inspired by when making Palworld. In this interview, he talks about the failures of Craftopia and having the studio learn to make models for the first time since they were so reliant on pre-bought assets before Palworld. And this is a studio that has previously made a game
I played Craftopia.
Generative AI. So a person that is so open about their failures and their inspirations and about where they think the industry is headed and about the ideas around early access and about transparency and feedback, why would they lie? Especially now with the game being a success. And don't you think that people that are investing into generative AI and have done so before would be the first to admit that they use generative AI instead of talking about how difficult and expensive it was to realize that they needed to actually make models for this?
Oh yeah, they could flex so hard with that now.
Talk about how they tried to buy pre-built models and rigs for animals and make them fit for the pals, and then they realized that it just wouldn't work and they needed to make it themselves? Doesn't that just sound strange? Why would they say that they wanted to and tried to make Palworld with pre-bought assets, but they couldn't?
Oh, they also have like one of the guys making the models, especially for the weapons, equipment, and guns, is just some kid who's like, he only have like, oh, what, only, but he only got a high school degree, pretty much, the Japanese equivalent of a high school degree, and works at a convenience store as a cashier, not doing much, and they knew that guy or something, or talked to him, and now he's making all the models, and he's like a gun freak, or there's a word for that, someone who's fascinated and his hobby is like guns and weaponry and all that. I don't know how the term for that is. Gun freak is not the right word. A weapon enthusiast? Yeah, we will leave it at that. And so he's making all these guns, and he's went above and beyond to make them look really well and behave really well, because he's so engaged with making weapons. And I think the weapons in the game look great. Well, this is just a normal pickaxe, but the guns itself look pretty good. And also all the weapons feel very good. Like the gameplay, the combat feels very well.
Why wouldn't they just say, yeah, we made everything ourselves? These guys have an interest in generative AI, and they'll probably come out with a game in the future that uses AI. So I don't think that we should criticize Palworld for things that have no proof. There is no evidence of these claims, as well as the evidence of plagiarism. Are you telling me that making a fox have fire is plagiarism? Because I think Mozilla and Game Freak need to have a talk. Concepts are very universal, and there's only so much you can do with animals. Of course, some of the designs are very heavily inspired by Pokemon, and some are reinterpretations of Pokemon by changing the element that they have and things like that. But plenty of...
Yeah, that is totally fine. Like, imagine if like if you go by that logic, you can go through every fantasy game, you see an orc, plagiarism. You stole that from Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. That's an orc, you stole that. You just made it green.
Other stuff is very much up to interpretation. Things like how the cat in Palworld is basically Cheshire Cat from Alice in Wonderland, but it turns out that the teeth and the eyes are very similar to Galarian Meowth. But the problem is that when I look at the Palworld cat,
I've gotta be honest, that thing looks fucking ugly. I haven't kept up with Pokemon since Scarlet and what Violet or whatever it's called came out first. Of course, I enjoyed the shitstorm for these games, rightfully so. I was very disappointed that the game still sold like 10 million copies in 3 days, I think. But you can clearly tell this is this is what the best people can come up with at the most successful IP in the world. The most successful. They have like $90 billion or something. They can probably buy 5 countries if they want to. And that's what they come up with.
All World Cat, I see the Alice in Wonderland inspiration, and when I see Galarian Meowth, I see Meowth but weird. So, what am I supposed to do? Are you going to tell me that instead of ripping off Galarian Meowth, they actually ripped off Alice in Wonderland? It's very subjective, and really the only thing that you should care about is not allegiance to who designed what first, or who had the idea to make the fox out of fire first. It should be if you enjoy what they have done with those ideas.
Oh, he's saying something really good. The enjoying part. It's just or probably the Genshin and oh yeah, the Zelda community also is. It's the Nintendo company, the Nintendo communities. When Genshin Impact came out first, who was crying like crazy? The Legend of Zelda fans. Breath of the Wild. Yeah, Breath of the Wild invented open world games. I forgot. So another. I fell asleep again. Nice. Welcome to another Deddo rant. We watch a video right now about the AI controversy and how people are stupid. The Nintendo fans or Pokemon fans, they are screeching like crazy right now. There's another game that has, or another franchise that heavily, and I say heavily, takes elements and even one-to-one references and even direct things from Berserk. The Dark Souls games, Elden Ring, have there's like hour-long videos of all the references and little things from Berserk in the Souls series. And you know how the Souls players react to that? And how the Berserk enjoyer react to it? They love it. We have one good thing, and it's taking things from another great thing, and they combine it into something super awesome, and everybody enjoys it. Nobody's like, there's copyright infringement on guts, but Greatsword needs to be patched out ASAP, or they will come with a lawyer. No. Everybody's like, holy shit, yes, I can be the Black Swordsman. They love it. But in this game, they lose their shit. Free! You have standing bunny! Free! That's a Pokemon only!
If it were plagiarism, if they were infringing on copyright, we would know, because Game Freak don't mess around. Have you heard about Nintendo's lawyers? They're not cool with stuff like this.
They're ruthless.
They are aware of Palworld, and they have no legal ground to stand on because they would have done something about it. Not only that, but let's imagine that they did use AI to design these Pokemon, that they did feed an AI all of the different monsters from all the monster creation games, and then had that spit out thousands of different designs. And then they chose from all of those designs and had to model them and tweak them and make artistic decisions when modeling them before putting them into the game and animating them and giving them attacks and making them smile and cry and be sad and go to sleep. Excuse me, what? They can't use an AI to do all of that stuff. So the maximum they could have done is get 2D ideas, 2D renditions of potential.
Or imagine the day that will be possible, where you can just type in, oh, I want this and that for this game. It should do this and that, and be in that code, be on that game, be in 3D, and it just pumps out a model for you. Oh boy, that would be awesome. You could just make games so easy. It would be so. I would immediately start working on a custom hero survival game. But as of right now, I'm too stupid for that. I tried, but I cannot get my head around multiplayer and netcoding. I can't. I tried, I failed miserably.
And then after they got those 2D ideas for the pals, they would have had to still manually work on them for a long ass time to make the models and to actually put the pals in the game and animate them and have them do all of the stuff they do. It's not just like, oh, I put in Pokemon into the AI and then it gave me back a finished game. That's not how it works. But here is the really hard truth. The one that you have to come to terms with, and you have to make a decision on how you want to affront it as the future dawns on us ever quicker. AI is not going anywhere because AI is going to reduce cost and improve development time. AI will be used in better or worse ways as time continues. There is no getting around it.
It will only get
Unless
better from
AI
here.
as a whole fails, which I think it's too big to fail, it will eventually reach a point where it can be integrated into every development process, and anyone who wants to run a successful business will start implementing AI. AI by itself, like most things, is not evil. I have said this times before on this very channel because it's an analogy that works. It's like a syringe. The syringe itself can be used for illicit substances that could lead to very traumatic and potentially permanent consequences to people. But you can also use it in a hospital and save lives. And that's how they are used every.
I have an easier one. It's like a hammer. You can build a house or a shelf with a hammer, or you can smack someone's head with a hammer. It's a tool and a weapon. You can use it for good and for bad.
Day in both of those ways. It's not the syringe's fault. The syringe doesn't save lives, and the syringe doesn't lead to those terrible consequences. It's the people who use the syringes and the people who choose to fill it with different things. The syringe is a tool. So is AI. You can use it for nefarious things. You can use it to grift, to steal, to do copyright infringement on the line of what copyright infringement.
It's pretty much for everything. It's just a tool.
To save costs and make
like a
workers'
bolt
lives
cutter.
easier and not
You use it
do
for
the
work,
boring stuff
or
that
you use it
don't
to
want
steal
do so that
bicycles.
you can focus on the cool stuff that you love doing. It won't always be used that way. And you will have to come to terms on which uses of AI and what transparency of AI you want in the products you consume. And no, I'm not just talking about games. I'm talking about...
What do you mean specific with stealing bicycles? Why? Because I'm Polish? What the fuck, Mike? What do you mean? No, in my city, it's you pretty much don't own your bike. In my city, the rate for bike theft or like theft in general is so high that if you you lock your bike somewhere, go away for an hour or two, there's a good chance it's gone. There's a good chance it's not your bike anymore. You just take whatever. Some people don't even lock their bikes because they are over locking, like losing locks all the time. Just whatever. That's exactly what I was. Yeah, I know.
Everything. The movies, the music, the living that you experience is going to contain AI. It might not be happening today, but we're going to see it more and more as time goes on. And I'd prefer for you to be aware of that and be prepared for how you're going to deal with it in the future, and then just do like I frequently do on this channel. And
AI is at the worst point right now, and it will only improve every day exponentially. It will only go forward. That's the insane part about AI. Whatever you think right now is possible with it, that's nothing. In 1 year, what we have today, in 1 year, it would look like trash compared. That's what I think is so crazy. There's nothing else like AI that is evolving and advancing as fast as AI. It is pretty crazy.
Become old man yelling at the clouds saying like, oh no, everything is AI now. Well, yeah, no shit. That's how the world works. But that's not the case with Pal World because there's no evidence. And if there is evidence and we have to talk about it, we will. And it'll be a complicated conversation. It won't simply be AI is bad. Well, for what did they use AI? Because as I said before, if they used AI to condense ideas in 2D that they then iterated on, worked on, discussed, and then had to do a ton of work to bring those ideas into the game, all that you can accuse them of is lacking creativity in coming up with concepts. But they also
But who cares?
Have the talent to have 1,000 different concepts or more and choose the best.
Yeah, who
ones
cares?
according-
Who cares if they come up with like the most original idea? What is an original idea? You know? What is original? People always hold these not right now like Pokemon as this peak standard of little creatures. Bro, this shit is a snake. It's a purple snake. It's just a fucking snake. This is a Pokeball. And that is the Pokeball, but upside down. but they act like this company has like the peak of character and monster design. Yes, Ekans is just steak. I don't get it. For me, everything I see everything I see in this game in Palworld, to me it looks just as good as any other Pokemon. Some of them look better, some look a little bit more weird, some look like a generic little red that is green, some don't. I don't see it. For me, it's not a big difference. At least Palworld doesn't have this stupid Pokeball.
To whatever criteria.
Or a
they
magnet.
needed, which is something that, again,
or
Zelda
ice cream.
talks about in the interview. He talks.
Oh my god, Pokemon has a keychain. And a candle. And no, but the artistic whatever.
It's about things like how they used Unity for Craftopia, but they chose Unreal because for the things they wanted to do in this project, specifically surrounding creating the map and the terrain, they felt that Unreal Engine 5 was going to be a better fit for the project.
Yes, there is.
So
ice cream Pokemon.
They switched to Unreal. And it's not because it's better than Unity or worse than Unity. It's because they had to base it off the design document they had, what they wanted to accomplish, and Unreal fitted better. But it's not black and white because things are never black and white.
They said about Unity
Except
that
when
it
it
was
comes to
lagging too
accusing
much as
people
well.
without
The
evidence,
performance was
because,
too bad.
That's a very binary state.
Unity is pretty good for like the
If
open,
you have no proof,
big stuff.
if you have no evidence, find it. And then we'll talk about it. But don't lie on the internet. Don't you know what people do when you lie on the internet? They see things that align with their views and they don't fact check. They'll just take it as truth and start yelling it everywhere to find other people that want to believe in that truth that has no evidence.
He didn't line up the floor right.
Reality of the
I saw
world
that.
I live in. And I don't know how often I'm going to have to be the person that comes out here on my channel to whoever is watching this to try and clear up the air. Nor am I sure that I want that responsibility or for that to be an
hell no.
expectation of me.
Hell no,
But
you
at
don't
least
want to
for the
argue
time
with
being,
Twitter people.
There's other things happening. I have 3 drafts of a video I tried to make clarifying the situation with Capcom and DRM, which I thought wasn't needed because there's people that have already explained it. But then again, just for as many people as there are explaining it, there's people yelling lies, just outright falsities about it. So there you go. Stop complaining about the AI. If you really think it's there and it's that big of a problem, do actual investigation into it because nothing points to it being the case. I've been Mug Thief, and if you want more of this, normally the content is like much cheerier and happier, and it's about me talking about games I really like. We're talking about.
Oh, but I want to add to what he just said. And if you don't like all of that, and even if it's not proven yet, don't buy the game. It is the simplest thing in the world. That is how an open market works. don't buy the game if you don't want to support it. Simple as that. I mean, obviously, if they steal stuff, that is a completely different discussion. But if you don't like something, it's not cool to just hate on the popular thing. It's pretty cringe. I know, because I was on that side. I was that kid that just hated on the popular stuff because it was popular. It is cringe, and nobody gives a fuck. You scream at people who are having fun. They will continue to have fun, and you will just continue to be miserable about it and bitch about it. Just move on. If you don't buy it, play something else. If you cannot stand to see Palworld on Twitter, just go to the word filter, put Palworld in, and you won't see Palworld anymore. If your friends still repost it, well, too bad. Just shut up. Nobody really cares.
Subscribe. But also you might get one of these from time to time. Depends on how much people decide to lie. But it'll be great to have you along for the ride. Thank you for watching. And I'll see you all again.
Good video.
Very soon.
Good video. It's a like and a subscribe. Yeah.
Well, here. The Palworld.
Check him out. He seems to make very cool videos. But yeah. I think the controversy is pretty stupid unless there's any proof that they used not just AI. If they use AI, I don't care. That is not a problem. If they can achieve or make a great game with the help of AI, perfectly fine. If they use stolen art to train the AI, then we can talk about this again, because at that point it's a problem, for me at least. Just the pure use of AI is not a problem. As long as they didn't steal any art, they didn't screw over artists without paying them. If they have not done any of that stuff, I don't see the problem. But hey, maybe they will give some behind the scenes, some artwork and all that stuff in the future. Right now they are probably more concerned with fixing the game, hotfixing, getting new content and everything. They work on the pathing, the AI, because that is pretty buggy. Maybe after that we get some behind the scenes stuff. Who knows? But hey, if it happens, I will talk about that again. Anyways, alright, have a great one. See you on the next one. Bye bye!